we happen to have one of my good brothers on the line. You might see him on TNT on AEW's Dynamite.
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, one of the first AEW World Tag Team Champions, one of my good friends and brothers, Scorpio Sky, ladies and gentlemen.
What's happening, guys? Thanks for having me.
Sky.
Brother, what's happening? How are you celebrating today? I know it's a tough day for all of us, but how are you doing today?
It's crazy. I woke up at it's 4:30 in the morning. Like, I just suddenly woke up for some reason.
Uh-huh.
And Kobe was one of the first, probably really the first thing that came to my mind. And I just, was thinking about how it was a year ago. And, one of the things I was thinking about was, as I was laying there, I was like, man, 1 year ago in this moment, Kobe was still here.
Yeah.
And I just stayed awake, man. I just started looking stuff up online, and as dramatic as it might sound, is I just wanted to live in that moment of being able to say, yeah, 1 year ago right now, Kobe was still here, which is something, after a few hours that we'll never be able to say again. But, it was just the day has just been, constantly, thinking about Kobe and talking with people about him. And it's still such a shock, right?
Yeah. It doesn't feel real. And I will say this, to any even just average basketball fan, it's almost as if we have that internal clock in our head. It feels like a menstrual cycle, if it can be honest. Nobody forgot that Kobe had passed away on this date, and everyone had prepared for this date without a calendar, without their phone, or anything like that. It was almost as if a lot of guys woke up this morning going man, this is 1 year since Kobe has been dead.
Yeah, it feels like it was a couple of weeks ago, honestly. Yeah. It's one of those where were you when you found out moments. Yeah. I know exactly where I was. I had worked out, obviously it was a Sunday. I had a good workout with my friend Drew that day, and then we went to this restaurant that we like to go to and had a little brunch. And we were having I just remember we were in the bar area, and it was such a good vibe. They had some good old school music on.
Yeah.
Everyone seemed upbeat. We were just laughing and smiling, and everything was so carefree. And then in one text message that I received from Mark, actually, in our Lakers group chat, it changed everything. And it was just I think everyone in the bar kind of got it at the same time, because the vibe just dropped. Everyone kind of got quiet. Music got lower. Nobody started saying anything. And then people kind of started asking, hey, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And then when we figured out it was true, everyone was just I don't remember anyone saying another word. And I definitely just, paid my tab and just went home and just kind of just sat in awe of what, it kind of feels someone like Kobe, you don't lose.
Yeah.
He's at the height of his powers and doing something, in such a tragic way. It felt almost like we slipped into another universe, and there was a glitch, and things that aren't supposed to happen actually happened. And it ended up just being the start of what was an insane and horrible and tragic year.
Yeah, I remember when we, you and I think that later that night we went down to Staples Center, and it just felt so weird, to live in a world where Kobe Bryant, wasn't, living in this world anymore. And it did feel like that Thanos snap. I remember we kept comparing it to that. We're man, it's just there's two timelines. There's where Kobe Bryant was alive, and then there's just when he's no longer here. And it was just one of those life-changing moments where, for you and I, because we both look at him, up to him, the same way. It was just one of those things where it's still kind of weird. I still find it weird that he's no longer here. But I mean, in your everyday routine or in the ring or anything, do you still have him as far as I'm sure you still have him as an inspiration or in spirit as he lives on, as you work out? Do you ever hear his voice, or do you ever go, what would Kobe think, or what would Kobe do in this situation here?
Absolutely. I mean, just in my everyday life, and I've been doing that for years. The thing about it is, a lot of people don't know is, there are a lot of big Kobe fans out there, and I think all of us celebrated him. But, people should know, Mark, you and I, we never stopped celebrating him.
Never.
Even before this happened, there were so many occasions, pretty much every time you'd come over when we were going to go out or something. Yeah. It was, let's hang out, have a few drinks, let's throw some Kobe highlights on, and let's just, you know what I mean? Let's just rip it in. It was literally just throw some, I threw a couple parties here And I was always having the music going, but I would always have videos playing on the screen, and then most of those videos were Kobe highlights.
Kobe highlights.
Okay, hold up real quick. In the first hour, when I was mentioning that we're going to have you on the show, Mark said that verbatim. And this is like the dating game. Like predicting what the other person is going to say. Like, you said that verbatim from what Mark said.
Yeah. And that's how that's how it's like when Kobe died. I remember, of course, the whole world celebrated, but yeah, just like what you said, we were celebrating him like every day, even when he was alive and even when he was playing still. Every day.
And I do carry it with me. In my business, it's very frustrating sometimes, and it gets really tough on you mentally. And people can love you one moment and hate you the next, and it kind of goes to the whole heroes and villains thing.
Yeah.
And I think of Kobe all the time because, and I use his words for inspiration. And like, there was one speech where he was talking about using the darker emotion as his motivation. And like, I've had moments where I was just really frustrated and I've been, against the wall, and I've thought of that and I've used it as my motivation because he went through it too. He went through being loved, being hated, coming through on the other side, and he's so revered now. And then, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Gigi, losing Gigi, it feels like we were all robbed of being able to watch her grow up, become a WNBA star. And I was thinking about it this morning, when I was up, that, one day I may have a daughter, and I would have loved to watch her grow up watching Gigi in the WNBA hitting game winners. Ooh. The same way I grew up watching Kobe.
Yeah.
And like, we were just all kind of robbed from watching that career and that story and things that she could have done for the sport and the exposure she could have brought to that sport. And it's so tragic. And obviously it's the 7 others, it's just it never seems to feel real. And every single day I think about it. For anyone that follows me on Instagram, they know every single day since it happened, I post a picture of him on my story of Kobe as like a tribute. And to me, it's crazy to think that it's been a year, because again, it really just feels like it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah. And that was something that was cool because I watch AEW too. And I've been watching you. Like, you're the person that I actually like check in weekly for like, oh, is Sky cool? Perfect. And to know that you're somebody that like we have the picture up here on the video stream of you with Kobe's jersey on. Yeah. That was cool. I mean, you wearing Kobe's, like, you even like in your entrance package to see Kobe, like, it's nonstop tributes to Kobe. And that's something that I don't really see, not just in the professional wrestling world, but even in like the NBA in a way where it's like, yeah, okay, I did my part. I did Kobe. All right, time on to move to the next game. It's like, no, like, you, Mark, and you, Sky, like, have both like done tremendous jobs living on the memory of Kobe.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, when you talk about it being in my my entrance video, to me that's like it's an example of how I carry Kobe with me every single day and how he has motivated me. So it's like, it's not something that's just like a one-time tribute where we wear his jersey to the ring because, after what happened. It's like, no, every single time I walk to the ring, you're going to see Kobe in the first 5 seconds of my Videotron, because that's what he's meant to me, So like, it's me basically saying I'm carrying him with me to the ring every single time I step in there.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, and and when it comes to that's the other thing too. It's like like later on tonight, I'm sure we're gonna watch some Kobe highlights and do some shots at 8:24, like we always do, and it's just gonna live on. And it's just one of those things where, I mean, Kobe Bryant was, he was here. He left a lot of knowledge for us. And do you feel like do you think that's something where, like, I consider us like the disciples of Mamba. We're the Knights of Mamba. Do you think it's going to kind of, it's going to spawn a whole other generation of future Mambas, sort of say?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, he was 41 when he passed, I believe. And, for someone to be around for such a short period of time, only 41 years, and to really only be in the spotlight, about 22 of those years or whatever, it's really miraculous to see all the lives he touched, all the people he inspired. If you look at people in the NBA today, maybe half the league or more, they're all wearing Kobe's shoes. They all, talk about words that he gave them for encouragement. If you look at like Devin Booker, be legendary, and the whole thing of the Lakers run last year was jobs not finished. And then you can go outside the NBA. I mean, just all the people that I'm sure he inspired, doctors and just people that have done wonderful things and other people in sports. He left such a mark. It's one of those things, like Hulkamania and Mamba mentality will live forever.
That's right, brother.
We're on the phone right now with AEW, the first ever one half of the World Tag Team Champions, Scorpio Sky. And Sky, just real quick, just to go on a happier note real quick, what are your favorite moments of the Black Mamba during his career?
So obviously I remember growing up and being in school during the Kobe Shaq championship era, which was so much fun. But for me, I really liked his fourth and fifth championship because he went through those rough years where, the drama with Shaq, where, people saw him clearly as the heel, the bad guy. And then there was the Colorado situation where, again, people saw him as the bad guy. He was the bad guy of the NBA for several years, but I still loved him, and I'm sure you guys did too, and had so many arguments just defending him for the last 10-plus years of his career, argument after argument. And then to come through that, and to, obviously the 2008 finals still hurts. But then to come back 2009, and that's why I have so much love for Pau Gasol still to this day, because of the partnership that they had. It was such a beautiful thing to watch. The 2009-2010 championships, those were so rewarding. And then obviously the final game of his career those are my favorite memories. Because and that's the thing, again, I go back to it, we all went through it with him, the dark days, the great days. Like I remember the championship days and going out and celebrating. I remember the night he popped his Achilles. I couldn't sleep a wink that night because I didn't know it was going to, I was just so distraught. I didn't sleep a wink. And then, the final game of his career is where we just all celebrated. And I just remember, it didn't even hit me until a day or two later. I was just driving in my car and I just kind of started crying, because it, one of the things, we talk about the motivation. At one point in that game, he hits a shot, and then he runs back up the court to get on defense, and he turns around, and he takes this deep breath and exhales, and you just knew that at that point he was past his breaking point. He was absolutely exhausted, but his mind was so strong. Yeah. He had the ability to empty the tank and then go even deeper. And if that doesn't motivate you, man, good Lord, I think about that so much. The fact that he just gave everything he had. And then as a Laker fan, I talk about it all the time, the fact that you were never out of the game. The other team was never safe until that final buzzer, and they probably hated us for it. You always had a chance. You could be down 15 with 4 minutes, 2 minutes left in the game, and you had a chance because you had Kobe.
Because you had Kobe Bryant. Because as long as Kobe was on the team and right there, the game ain't over yet. You never know.
Remember those Kobe runs, man, where he would just score 10, 15 points back to back, nobody else on his team. He would just go on runs, and you don't even see that much anymore. You can see guys, they'll score a lot, but you don't see guys just go on runs where they are carrying the entire team by themselves, and the entire other team can't stop them.
That was the beauty of Kobe, is the fact that you can never ever count him out, because one of my favorite games from him was the Amnesty That game. The Mark Cuban said, the Lakers should amnesty Kobe. He's old, he's washed up. What does he do? What does he do?